Hi everyone, welcome to Life at Next podcast. This one's going to be a little bit different. Join me with a load of home interior experts as we're at the Home Away Day talking about all things Next Home. Welcome to the Life at Next podcast. Oh no, that's not today. That's not today. So welcome to the next part, which is a industry panel tour. I'm here today with 4 people, which I'm going to introduce right now. And, we're going to talk about, Next Home and like what their perspective is and get some real good insight from them. So not in the order they are sitting, but we've got Noni, we've got Mo, Natasha, and also Lucy. So we're going to, I'm going to let them introduce who they are, what they do. But these are people that, live and breathe home just like you. They love it. So I think I'll start with passing over to Noni.
To me? Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. I feel a bit sort of overexcited, actually, to be here today. So I'll give you a very brief background. So my name is Noni Ware. I originally started out working in the fashion industry. I worked and was very lucky to have worked, I think, is one of the nicest jobs in the world. So I worked at Vogue magazine as the executive editor. And I used to spend my days walking from Chanel to Louis Vuitton to trying on diamonds, slapping on the most expensive face creams you can imagine, and loved it. And then I went to go and work for Harper's Bazaar, doing much the same job. Then I moved overseas and lived with my family in Hong Kong for 9 years. Got back 5 years ago, and then started to work for House and Garden magazine, but doing a very, very similar job as executive editor. So again, I had the great privilege of being able to sort of, walk around looking at everything that was coming out, everything new, great lamps, great rugs, great ceramics, and then I would put it together every month on the pages which are called the Out and About pages for House and Garden. I have to say that I have been a champion of Next at House and Garden. Ever since I came to House and Garden, passionately believing, really, truly in Next as a brand. But also in the fact that I think traditionally, of course, House and Garden has a reputation maybe for delivering a more expensive product to their readers. But as we all know now, that that doesn't mean to say that if you are a high street retailer, that you are not delivering as beautiful a product as anybody else. The directive came down only, 18 months ago from the very scary Anna Wintour, who basically said that everybody at Condé Nast needed to be aware that our pages had to reflect, incomes of all levels. And so that was definitely something that on my pages at House and Garden, I always tried to reflect. And in this month's issue, I have done the most beautiful Next spoons, which are these wooden artisanal spoons, which I just loved. So they're in this month's issue of House and Garden. Right, I should probably stop talking.
No, it's fine, it's fine. I was just thinking, whoever's bought those spoons now is like...
So I'm a massive fan, but that's my background. I have nothing like the Instagram followings of these guys, because I actually only started my Instagram about 4 years ago. I'm delighted to be here.
I think that's a great segue into Mo, who's on the end, who is a content creator. So Mo, do you want to introduce us and kind of explain what you do?
I'm Mo, and I'm 38, and I'll just give you a bit of background about myself. So I immigrated to the UK and back in 2005 when I was 18, and when I came here, I couldn't speak a word of English, so I had to actually learn everything from scratch and got myself to uni and everything. And then I've started working for Next in store. And I think even though I've always been into interior, I think that's where I really got into it, because that's when I've met my partner, and then we started buying we bought our first house, and then I just worked in the Next Home department, and I think the whole seasonal change and just seeing things coming in the spring, summer, autumn, winter sort of thing, that's when I think my passion for interior has actually started. And then we that we sold that house, and then we've moved to another house, and then I've just turned my personal page into a business, like an Instagram account, where I've just changed my name to, from Mo just to Mo and Jungle Trav, which I'll get into in a bit. And then I've just started sharing our journey of renovating our home and turning it into, something that was unloved to something that was my, my own sort of choice, and having things that brought me joy and that I was into. And I'm quite drawn to bold colours and patterns and plants, and I think that comes from obviously being born in East Africa. I've always been growing up, we've always had quite colourful, things in our home, and that's just something I've always been drawn into. I'm also into plants, and in my last house I had about over 100 plants in my
a lot of water
in there. So we currently, end of last year, we bought our forever home, which we're currently renovating, and I'm just trying to get final things that I can just bring into my forever home, and obviously next being one of my go-to for interiors and all interior things related. And so it's just.
And this is something you're as well. You're not doing this full time.
No, I'm still. That's right. I'm still working full time. So luckily, I'm doing compressed hours in my day job. So this is something that I'm doing on the side. And a lot of my friends and family say, "How do you do it?" But because obviously this is something that I'm quite passionate about.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a chore, or it doesn't feel like I'm spending too much time. To me, doing what you love, it never feels like you're doing too much of it. So, yeah.
Well, thanks for the introduction, Mo. And I'll move on to Natasha.
So, hi, I'm Natasha. So I kind of fell into this job, which people still don't think is a job, but it actually kind of is. I actually worked in the cosmetic industry for 10 years and used to run a clinic in Knightsbridge, which most people think sounds lovely, and it was hell. You can imagine. And I've always just been a very creative person. So for me, it got to the point where I was going to work, crying on the tube, coming home and crying about my job. And it was I needed to find something where I could kind of combine interior, photography, travel, those kind of things that I loved. And at that point, social media wasn't really a thing that you could make a living from. And we bought our first place, and I just started collecting things from car boots and flea markets, and I then grew to love plants, and it was before kind of house plants were seen as cool and trendy. I actually had about 400, so I was ahead of you.
Wow.
They're pretty much dead now, so don't worry. And so it kind of evolved into that. And then a couple of years later, I sadly ended up going through 2 miscarriages. So I kind of then veered into just showing up myself a bit more online and having to kind of explain why I was dipping in and dipping out of online world. And also for me, it was kind of a bit of therapy to be this is actually the life behind the photos that people see, which is normally curated and seen as perfect and bullshit, to be honest. And I just found I found my community on there. So I've kind of now evolved. And then I actually went on to find out, slightly altering news, that I was expecting triplets. So now my page, you just don't know what you're going to get. It's a lot of interior stuff because we've now moved. So we've been there 1.5 years, and I really thought I would have done a lot more than what I have. But my girls are now 3, so pray for me. So we're doing projects, but I'm also now just kind of getting into motherhood and just trying to survive, really. So
good
come
luck.
along if you want a bit of everything.
Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you.
I mean, thank you for the introduction. And then last but not least, Lucy.
Hi, I'm Lucy. It's wonderful listening to everyone. I feel like I've completely forgotten who I am now. I'm Lucy Renouf. I am Lemons and Lucy on my social media. And I've been doing this full-time now for the last 1.5 years, coming up to 2 years, I think. And before I started content creation, I have danced my whole life. So I've always been entertaining, and I think that's kind of what I've taken most into my social media. So it's kind of just entertaining each day. But on my socials, I started off with kind of recipes and home things, but more kind of morning routines, lifestyle, that kind of thing. And I did that for about 1 year. And then my partner and I bought our first house in October last year, and we moved in around February, I think, this year. And it's kind of been go, 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 because we've been renovating whilst we've been living there. And yeah, it's just wonderful to have Next so involved in it as well, because I just love going on there and just finding out, oh, I want that piece of furniture, I want that piece of furniture, and it's just wonderful. I'm drawn to so many different things with them. But yeah, I'm just kind of full-time on socials.
Thank you. Well, that was the easy bit, just talking about who you are, what you do. So just going to kind of, just want to get some more insight from you, because you've all got that, expertise and knowledge, and we all want to understand that and tap into it. So kind of what, you said don't start with you, but I'm going to start with you, Natasha. So what kind of, what inspires your interior choices? Where does that come from?
So I think I'm hugely inspired by travel. For some reason, I'm just obsessed about the Mediterranean. So I live in Surrey. It's very far from it. But I just want my house to feel like a non-stop holiday. So I'm very much drawn to natural materials, lots of texture, lots of exotic plants. Like we have 6-foot cactuses, which is really not child-friendly. But I just want everything to feel like an experience. And I feel like if you put something that doesn't look like that in my house, it just doesn't fit. But I love Next because you can kind of incorporate a lot of those elements alongside things that I've bought from flea markets and travels and stuff like that. So, yeah. Did I answer the question? I don't know.
No. It's a good answer.
Okay.
It's a good answer.
Cool.
What about yourself, Mo? Where's, still doing this part-time, where's your inspiration? You mentioned earlier about bold and colour.
Yeah, definitely. My inspiration comes from my background, in where I was born in East Africa. So bold colours and plants and all of that. So, and I'd probably say travels. That is another big thing. I love traveling, and when I travel, a lot of people, most people I know, normally would have, this is the sightseeing to see. Mine is what shops, what interior shops are there. So I'd be and I just want to bring a bit of the country that I visit, the countries I go back home, and just be inspired by it. So I think in my last house, we painted our island orange, and while we were decorating that house, we went to New York, and we spent a day in Brooklyn, and we saw this house that was painted navy, and it had an orange door, and I took a picture, and we just came home, and we were like, that is our kitchen, that is the colour palette. So I love visiting other countries, and obviously, most importantly, Next, working for Next, obviously, and as I said, it's been major inspiration of my whole, love for interior. And I love going to store. We've got a Next Home store in where I live, and I love looking online and just seeing what is coming on trend and just getting inspirations. I am not a massive DIYer, and I love the fact that Next Home do ready-made furniture. So, and that is one thing I'm quite big on. So, so I just travels and Next Home, and charity shops is another place where I get my inspirations from, and just finding bits. Yeah.
What about yourself, Nonny? What about what kind of inspires you? Because obviously different kind of career path and different, similar industry, but different approach to it.
Well, I have to say that it really honestly makes me laugh, because when you do work at House and Garden, people automatically expect that your house is going to look very similar to all of the amazing houses that we have. My house looks nothing like a House and Garden house. Firstly, I've got 5 children, ranging from 17 to 27. They are all still living at home, God knows why. So the first thing you see when you walk through the doors of my house is 2,664 pairs of shoes, which are about that big. It drives me up the wall. And I have spent a lifetime really wanting to buy nice things. But as everybody who's got kids out there will know, when you've got 5 children, that is simply not possible. So I'm going to say that my house is definitely cobbled together.
Okay.
Yeah. But if I was going to start, in terms of inspiration for me, the one thing that I have always been absolutely passionate about is art.
Okay.
And I have been collecting pieces of, and I'm talking, as I always say to people, this is not important art. This is not Andy Warhol type art. This is art that I have found in flea markets, photography that I just think is beautiful, and nothing in my house has cost more than 200 quid, really, 300 pounds, I should think, is tops. And I have literally scoured everywhere to find really nice pieces of art. And that, for me, is what starts a room. So the first thing I do, I always think it's really interesting when people move houses. Like, what's the first thing you do when you move house? For some people, it's, I've got to get all my crockery into a cupboard. Like, that's just because that makes them feel comfortable. For me, the first thing I have to do is hang the art on the wall. And then I work backwards from that. So once I know what picture's going to go where, then I'm like, okay, then I can work backwards from that. But honestly, my house is a bit the same. Like I lived overseas for 9 years, and in Hong Kong, there was an enormous turnover of furniture because people moved kind of traditionally, probably every couple of years. So we had this thing, it was called Asia Expat, and I used to love it because you could just go online and people would literally put up all of their furniture because they'd be moving to another country. And I would say over half my house has probably come from Asia Expat, like pieces I picked up. And then I think, I'll recover that. And 15 years go past, and I still haven't recovered it. So, yeah, so I think definitely travel. You know, going to travel overseas has been amazing. I went through a total phase living in Hong Kong where I wanted everything to be kind of bamboo-y, blue and whitish and buzzery. And now I'm back living in London and I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that. You know, it's raining all the time. But yeah, for me, I think it's definitely start with something like a photograph or a painting, and then I work back from that.
Yeah, something real, that's your centrepiece,
Yeah.
and build around that.
Yeah.
100%. Lucy, how about yourself? Where's your inspiration come from?
I am a big Pinterester.
Okay.
Is that a word? Pinterester? I'm big on Pinterest.
Let's say yeah.
Pinterest boards are everything for me. And that's where I start. But my toxic trait is thinking, yes, I can replicate that. Absolutely. And then it comes to doing it, and I think, oh, I haven't quite done that. So what I quite like doing is having my Pinterest board, finding like, right, I love that sofa. So I will just start on that sofa. I'll go, right, that's the sofa I want to start with. And renovating a house now, everything takes double the amount of time as what I thought it was going to be. I thought we were going to move in and do one room at a time per month. And I mean, we're on like four months living in now, and I think we've just about sorted our lampshade out. So I think slowly, room by room, and just really following a kind of like cottagey, shabby chic vibe is like my dream. But whether or not that turns out to be the way, we'll see. That's the hope. But yeah, just very clean. But Pinterest is definitely the way forward for me.
Okay, so all quite some similarities, but also different approaches. In terms of Next and Next Home in particular, how do you think we can kind of stand out to inspire you as well in that regards? What kind of things could we do? And I'll go to Mo first.
I think Next is doing great, and I think you already stand out, you know, from the crowd. You've got something for everyone. If you're into the modern country, you've got that. If you're into your like Scandi vibes, industrial vibes, you've already got that. So the only thing I'd probably say, so it's hard to pinpoint exactly how I think, you know, you could stand out. And I'd probably just say keep doing what you're doing, to be honest with you. I genuinely, it's hard. I genuinely don't have anything that I can tell you that you know, because you already stand out from all the other home brands. You know, I feel like Next knows their audience and knows what works for them, and I think that's what's been great from like and working in store and just being at the other end. You know, I've seen like how popular the home bits are and everything. And honest to God, like if I'm looking for something and I'll start from the Next app or something. I'd look at it, and it's not that often that I can't actually find or get inspired by, you know, what you guys do. So
Yeah,
Don't know if
you're a bit biased because you
Oh,
work
I know,
for us. Yeah,
I know,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
I put my hands up, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
working there in stores
Yeah.
made you a bit biased. I mean, what about yourself, Natasha? Like, what do you think we could do to, like, stand out?
So I guess now I've got kids. It was not really a department I divulged into too much before, and they're now kind of that bit older. So I think the kids department, but I think that for so many different brands, I would just love to see things that kind of are more cohesive to people's other parts of their home. I'm not really a character mum. Pink and fluffy makes me very uncomfortable. Obviously,
Is
they
that
can.
a thing, a character?
I
mark?
just feel like, yeah, like, you know, like the characters on everything. Like, I think people think when you have
you
a
mean
child, like, there's
charac-
just
yeah, yeah.
characters on everything.
Yeah.
And it's quite overwhelming, especially because I have 3 and they're all in one bedroom. I can just imagine them all wanting. It's just a lot. And I just find as well, because I work from home, I really need our home space where it is so chaotic, having 3 toddlers, to be quite a calm environment as much as it possibly can. And I do find that I get that through like colour palettes and materials. So yeah, it's just finding kids things that are suitable for children but maybe aren't generic children's things. Like, I'd love to see more things that are maybe not necessarily within a trend, because I don't necessarily believe in following trends, but things that can be incorporated into people who love interiors, for instance. So yeah, different kind of like furniture pieces that aren't just bog standard or blue or pink. Or I want a bit of fun, but I want it to blend into my home. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, thanks. That's what I like. And in my colour palette, because nothing's ever in nice kind of rich mustards or like warm terracottas. There's the odd thing. I know Next always does a really good rust in like kids' clothing and lots of their some bedding, but I need more. I need more of that. So yeah, the warm tones. I love it.
What about yourself, Nonny? What would you say that, you know, working on all those editorial pieces and putting all of that together, what kind of things do you see and think, that's probably one thing that I don't really see from Next and they could quite easily tap into?
Well, I have to. Oh my God, we're all going to sound like total like. Oh, we love Next. I don't. You know that I think gaps are difficult to find in Next because obviously you offer so many products. I'm going to tell you a story. Okay, so my little story is that as well as working for House and Garden, I sometimes also go in and help clients who want, not decorating, because I'm not really a decorator, which is a really full-on job, but I go in and I help people style their houses. I used to be a personal stylist for a long time, and I used to buy people's clothes. Once had the great honour of buying Brad Pitt his suits.
Ooh.
Yes. Ooh, that's my one tiny claim to fame. Anyway, so I was asked by a long-term client of mine to go and help her with a new house. This is a extremely wealthy client with a husband who runs one of those things, I still don't understand what it is, called a hedge fund. And she was moving into this incredible house in London. They were paying the most mind-boggling rent for this house. And we were moving all of her furniture out of one place and into another. And so we'd hung all the art, we'd put all of the furniture in place, and she said, we're missing a chair. We need a beautiful chair to go in this sitting room. I want you to imagine floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a London square. The rest of the furniture is all B&B Italia, like, you know, like uber expensive furniture. So I said, I knew exactly what we're going to get. So we ordered the Boucle Otis swivel chair. God damn, that chair is unbelievable. So I would like to now say that half of London's elite have sat on that chair, they have swiveled in it, and they have all gone, and I'm going to do an American voice because she is American, they have all gone, oh, Jenny, is this B&B Italia? That chair, I wish I could take a photograph, but obviously, you know, clients are pretty private about that, so I have not been able to take a photograph of it. However, I am here to report that this client is now moving to the Bahamas, and she has just bought a second one, and those chairs are going all the way to the Bahamas, where they're going to have a very, very happy life.
Wow.
But that, to me, is the best indication that I can give of a brand that is now, you know, sitting in houses for whom the client would probably be buying Italian, very high end, and that piece of furniture, that lovely Otis chair, looks like it's been there forever, sitting amongst all her other furniture. But also, when I was doing my pages, you know, I obviously had to look at, you know, there might be a cushion that was going to cost £600, and there might be a sofa that was going to cost £3,000, and then I'm thinking, okay, like we got to bring the price point down here. And you'd go on to the next website, like without fail, you know, I have featured the Lucy Tiffany jug. Whoever did that, amazing, and got that jug, it got a lot of love. We have done the most amazing tableware on the pages. Like, there was always something that I could go in and just go, yeah, that's going to look great.
These guys are going to love you by the end of this, by the way. They're really going to love you. And what about yourself, Lucy? Is there anything you're seeing, like you said, renovating as well, like Mo? Is there anything you're thinking, yeah, this is kind of, you know, something that would stand out a bit more?
Yeah, well, going back to the whole price side of things, there are so many, especially going back to Pinterest as well, so many independent brands that pop up. And those independent brands are a lot of the time American, which you're, one, going to pay shipping for, and two, they're about £4,000 a piece, which is just crazy. And then also on Pinterest, Next pops up. And there have been lots of, again, shabby chic wooden oak things that I've really been after on Pinterest. And I've gone on a few times to Next and just not quite found the right piece. And I went on about 2 weeks ago and went on to New Inn, and there it was, the perfect wooden oak sideboard, and actually for an affordable price, which was so, so wonderful. So I really think I always check the New Inn with Next. Like, that's always me. I love to go into the New Inn. So when something specific comes in like that, I just think absolute winner, rather than going to pay £4,000 for something that would take 10 weeks to get to you.
Exactly, no international delivery on that.
Yeah.
So I don't know the exact line. Is it 4 days on that item, someone? I don't know, but hopefully. But so interesting there as well, Lucy, and just quick fire. So where are you looking to buy? Like, is it like online or in store? Where do you tend to buy?
Online, 100%.
Online.
I would love to go in store, but personally for me, I'm in Sussex, in a little town called East Grinstead in the middle of nowhere. And my closest one's about 40 minutes away. So for me, just online is so much easier.
Okay. And what about yourself, Mo?
Online mainly, but I love a shopping day out.
Okay.
And a lot of coffee breaks. So what I tend to do is, if I see something that I really like online, I'd go to the store just to see if it's available. I'm always in Force Park for Next, for instance, and there are a lot of other. And again, another place I go to and look at is charity shops and Facebook Market. I don't know if I like to say that. Yeah, Marketplace is another place, but online for an easier life, especially when you've got so much going on. Like, sometimes online is my go-to, but I like a
So you like the hybrid option?
Yeah, both. Yeah.
What about yourself, Natasha? Are you
Online?
Online.
I do.
With the
Take
triplets,
geography.
yeah.
I do, though. I'm also, like, I'd say my house is probably 70% flea market finds, and the rest is high street. So, and I'm very particular about what comes in the house. So I know with Next I'm going to get good quality. I know I'm going to love the pieces. And I love with Next, they have a lot of products. I don't know if it came up the products I picked, but they all look like they could merge really well into the things I find in flea markets. Everything's got texture. It looks a little bit aged. So, yeah, online.
And yourself, Nonny?
I'm in store all the way.
In store all the way?
But then I am in London,
Okay.
which makes it easier. But I have to go and feel it. I have to go and look at the size of things. Yeah, and I actually just way prefer it. I way prefer it. And my house is the same. Like, lots of it has just come from, as I said, like Asia expat, you know, sort of junk shops. But then if I am going to go and buy something, I have to go and look at it.
Okay, cool. Well, we did actually ask you before you came today to pick out some items, top 10. Everyone's now like, oh my God, is my product in there? Like, so we'll talk through these shortly, and I think we'll start with yourself, Nonny, actually.
Okay.
And just kind of, you know, what do you like about this particular, if you can see the screen, what do you like about Next Home? So, you know, you've gathered all of these. Why these particular items? Why have they popped up? I can see happy faces.
I've gone definitely down a green theme.
Yeah, you have, yeah, definitely.
But I think that was because also, like, I'm quite specific as well about, like, the colorations of things. And Next have got really good colours. Like, you know, those greens are just so gentle and soft. I'm not a big one for sort of fluorescent colours. And I mean, I just couldn't stop, quite frankly. I could have gone on and chosen 40 things very easily. Well, I'm sorry, I'm going to look down at the screen. But
that's okay.
So obviously I've got my Otis chair there, which just lots of love for that. Glassware. Okay, so I was really lucky because I went and sat next to Nina Campbell when you did your Nina Campbell Next collaboration, which, by the way, is just so insanely good. And Nina was just waxing lyrical about Next. She could not stop singing Next praises. The quality of the products, the design of the products, just everything. Anyway, so we sat and basically talked about how brilliant Next was for 2 hours over croissants. I know that I couldn't choose, you know, collaborations today, but the glassware, I just think that you have, it is incredible. And I'm ordering those the second I get home because I love them, the glassware, the striped glassware. And then portables, again, I chose that just because I think that's a really, really classic design. I can't imagine what we ever did without portable lights now. Like, I kind of look at tables and think, what did we put on there before? Like, clearly it was candles or lamps with great big long leads, but it just seems like there are portable lights everywhere, and I think that's a really beautiful classic design. I love it. Napkins, I have a tiny bit of an obsession with napkins.
Oh, really?
Like, oh, yeah.
Unhealthy one, or?
Sort of unhealthy-ish in that I love them and keep buying them, and then really bitterly regret it when I put them on the table and my children all use them, and then I've got to wash and iron them. So, and the kettle.
Yeah, what's that? That's
okay,
the one piece
kettle,
that's like not fitting with the aesthetic.
I know. Do you know why I put that on? It's because I was lucky enough to go on a trip, and I went to northern Morocco, and I was invited to the opening of a new hotel in Morocco, and it's called the Royal Mansour, and it is easily the most amazing hotel I've ever stayed at. And in our rooms, we had these black kettles, and they were sort of little round kettles like that with a beautiful spout. And to turn them on, you just gently touch the top, and they would just boil. And they were black and incredibly sexy. And I saw that, and I just thought, oh, that is really similar to the one in this hotel. I mean, look at it. It's just like, it's beautiful. It's like one of the most beautiful kettles I've ever seen. So that's why that's there. The plates, obsessed about Portuguese, you know, that kind of, what's it called, Portuguese ceramics. I loved it. Salad bowls, can never have enough of them. And again, I know I've gone down the sort of green theme there. Oh, God, am I going on too long?
No,
right,
no, it's absolutely fine.
And the side table, I mean, that just looks like, you know, again, to me, I would put that in one of these unbelievably wealthy clients' houses, and nobody would know that it hadn't come from, you know, again, one of the very expensive Italian. If I looked at that on the pages of House and Garden, I would say that's probably about £1,500. I think that would be a good price for that, but here it is, and it's not that.
It's definitely not. It's definitely not.
And then cushions, again, just because I love the colours, and the vase, to me, again, looks like it's a beautiful piece of Murano glass. It's, yeah. God, I could keep going on. I'll shut up now.
And what about yourself, Mo? I mean, you've done a similar thing here, like
yeah.
very different.
It's
I
so
know, yeah, and I love the rug. I mean, it's no secret that I love patterns and, you know, bold colours, and that rug, I basically shared what's been on my wish list, to be fair, because there were things that, that I favoured. But yeah, that rug, I already know exactly where it's going to go in my house, and I think it looks great quality, but it also, it's not, even though it's patterned and like it's strong colour, it's not on your face. It's something that can just blend in. And I always say that, you know, when people ask me, oh, and how do you mix patterns and colours? I always say that if you're not so sure of or colours and you're into your neutrals, great way to introduce colour and pattern is just having a rug or a cushion. And same with the side plates. I've got a different reason for the side plates though, because the side plates, I want them as a decor. I want to hang them on the wall, so in my dining area, because that is something that's quite trendy, and I love that. But I think they're great. Same with armchairs. Again, another great way to introduce colour to your home, if you're not so sure. And I think I love a bit of green. And what else? Lighting. I'd never used a big light in the house, so lighting is something. I think we've got, just in our living room, I think we've got 6-7 table lamps, and it's not a massive room, it's just a small
In one room?
In one, yeah, we've got, let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think we've got about 6, and a floor lamp. Yeah, so that's another great way, and again, that's another thing that's been on my wish list, that table lamp, and it's given me all those, you know, that, as you said, that high-end look for such an affordable, you know, price, which I think Next is great at. And yeah, and I've got outdoor furniture there, even though we've not had some of this yet anyway. But and another great way, and I think what I liked about that outdoor furniture is that it's 2-in-1. It's got dining, but also you can use that as a, you know, sofa. And I think it's one of them. It's great for those small gardens, which I've had in my previous house. And I think one thing I wish was that we've had a seating, but I just wish that it was also, we could use that as a dining, and, you know, having that 2-in-1, I think is great. And it's timeless. I like the colour that it comes in, yeah. So all of those things, I know that they trendy, but it's one of them things that you don't, that could be in your home forever, sort of thing, which I think is great,
Yeah, great. And Natasha, onto yourself. These, you were saying you like a certain colour palette earlier, so...
It's very me. I actually have 4 or 5 of those items already in my house.
Nice.
And they're still surviving with 3 kids. But yeah, I noticed from looking, I'm really drawn to like curves and soft shapes. So aside from the rug, everything's pretty kind of either wavy or got some sort of shape to it. But yeah, I agree with Mo, like there are things you can have in the house for such a long time. I don't necessarily follow trends, so I want things that I can have in different parts of the room and they still work really well together. I know you picked the side table. We also use it as a stool, so I like kind of using items for different purposes as well. But yeah, I just love the wavy. Is the wavy mirror back in stock? Because I need it. And every time I go, it's out of stock again. But that's like one of my, that and the new, you know, the large rattan lampshades. Yeah, they're like my 2 top items I need.
They're the 2?
Yeah. And when we posted, because they were also at press show, but I'd seen them before, people went wild for them online. So
good feedback.
Yes,
Good
get them back in stock and we'll get them sold.
And then we're on to another look from Lucy, which again is, you know, another different look. So just talk us through some of these pieces, Lucy. Like, what's really standing out to you here?
Well, I think with Next, whoever you are, if you've got a colour scheme that you want to continue, you'll be able to find it with Next. And with me, there's a few, I mean, the background of the green there, but everything for me is very kind of beige wood with a hint of a little bit of black. But yeah, I just love how like neutral the pieces are for me personally, but then you are able to find so many bold colours and different things, which is wonderful. But yeah, I love it. All the wood, and where we used to live before, our landlady had decorated the whole place herself, and all she said to me, which I didn't realise when we'd gone in 6 months into living there, I said, please, Emma, just give me some advice on what to do. She said, right, look around. I've taken a black paint pot and I've gone around at the picture frames. I've painted a bookshelf black. I've done this, I've done that. And you said, oh yeah, all the hints of the black, which is wonderful. And now we're into our renovation home. I look for lots of things with tiny little hints of black. And I think Next, especially in New Inn, has so many pieces like that, which is wonderful.
If you had to pick one item from that 10 there, which one are you picking?
Oh, it's tough. It's got to be the big wooden table, I think. But I do love white boucle and beige and everything. I mean, all of it, but the wooden table. The wooden table.
The wooden table, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll just wrap up. There was the team sent some questions in, so you know these are just some questions they've sent in. Start with you, Lucy. So, what kitchen product would you be most interested in posting on your channels, e.g., glassware, mugs, storage, and why?
Well, I'm actually turning one of my corners into my kitchen into a whole coffee corner. Nice. And I plan on using all next, which would be wonderful. But I love a coffee mug. I have a coffee mug collection, so for me, it's got to be the mug.
Nice. And Nonny, one for you. Trend-wise, what do you see being the next big thing?
Wow, nice small question.
Yeah,
there.
you know, yeah. Oh, in-home furniture, by the way. That narrows it down.
Okay, that narrows it down. I think we will probably see a really bigger, a much bigger push towards people wanting to buy pieces from the UK.
Oh, okay.
I think there will be a really big push. We used to have this thing in the House and Garden office where when I used to get in a press release that had the word sustainable in it, I used to ring a bell. And after the first day of that, when I rang the bell about 200 times, we realized that actually I couldn't carry on with that. I think the word sustainable, environmentally conscious, blah, 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 has been bandied around for a long time, but I think the biggest push that we will see in interiors is that people will become really interested and even obsessive about using non-toxic paints, about not having too many unnatural fibres in their house. And I think that will only gain ground, and also buying as much from the UK as possible.
Okay.
Because we've got so many, I can't even start on this because it is one of my passionate things. We've got so many unbelievable people in the UK. We've got an industry in Stoke-on-Trent that's now being revived because people are, you know, buying so much more ceramics and things from there. So I do think there'll be a big push towards that.
Okay, great. And Mo, lesson for you. Someone wanted to know, what was the biggest lesson you've learned in terms of renovating your home at the moment? Like, what's your biggest learning? Is there any next products that could have been provided that would have helped you with it?
Yeah, I think the biggest lesson I've learned in my last renovation, which I'm trying to not repeat, is that don't rush. Because if you rush, you do it. Because when we bought the last house, what we've done is we just wanted it done, and we wanted it all done. And what I've realised is that as soon as it was done, I've just found out so many things I wasn't happy with, and I wish I lived with it for a few months just to see, you know, and get a feel of the place. And the other thing I'd probably say is that when you have a builder in, do not be afraid to tell them what you want, because sometimes they can talk you out of it. They can say to you, oh, this is going to be, and it's going to be quite difficult to do. Is it doable? If it is doable, then you say to them, can I have that? Because I think one of the things that they tried to talk us out was having a walk-in pantry in our last house, and we were that close to not having. Even they're like, oh, it's not even going to be walkable. It's just going to be a cupboard, and like it's hardly any space, sort of thing. So I'd probably just say that's my biggest lesson is just stand your ground and take your time.
Good top tip.
Yeah.
And Natasha, last one for you. So, are there any items that make your life easier in the kitchen that are multifunctional? Really good for storage, especially with the triplets and the kids around. Is there anything that you're like, oh, these are the products that are actually going to make a big, big
Do you
impact?
do chefs?
Not yet. Not yet.
I don't really know. Maybe something electrical that can clean up after all the food is on the floor.
I mean, no, thank you for your insight. I mean, it's been, great to chat through. I think, we're going to end there, and thank you very much.
Thank you.